Today is the deadline to register for the Affordable Care Act's open enrollment. Also marks the last week for Congress to get anything done on the health care front before the subsidies expire. Joining us right now to talk about this and so much more, Nebraska Republican Senator Pete Ricketts. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having me on.
So we've been talking about Obamacare. We've been talking about health care. We've been talking about what is going to actually happen in Washington in this next week. But we've also been talking about how this is all going to impact 2026 and the midterms. And I'm curious sort of where you think all this lands right now.
Well, right now, with regard to what we're doing on the health care, we had the votes for both the Democrats' plan and the Republicans' plan. There's ongoing conversations to see if there's common ground. I might point out there were 4 Republicans who voted for the Democrats' plan, but no Democrats voted for the Republicans' plan. So what we want as Republicans is to be able to empower people by giving them the money.
Right. And
the Democrats' proposal was just continue to do what we're already doing, which we know. I mean, GAO just came out with a report last week showing how much fraud was going on. 18 out of 20 accounts continue to get fraudulent funds, $10,000 a month. GAO said in 2023, $21 billion they couldn't verify, maybe $27 billion in fraud last year. So this is something that has to be addressed. And our solution is give the money to people so that they can spend it and have competition, drive down the costs, and not just give it to the insurance companies.
So here's the question, and this is the hard part of, I think, what you're proposing. In an environment right now where people are talking about this affordability gap constantly, by default, I actually think what you're doing long-term may actually push some of the prices down and do some of the things that you want. But invariably, that could take some period of time. And from the sort of sticker price issue, if you will, in terms of affordability, the question is whether you will get credit or you will get blame if, in fact, the prices are higher later.
Well, that's one of the things that I think we, as Republicans, have to do is go out there and carry our message out there. With the current plan by Senator Cassidy and Senator Crapo, because we would be funding some of the CSRs, that would actually bring premiums down in 2027. We'd also, the plan the Democrats have is you've got out-of-pocket expenses of $6,000. So before you even get to anything covered by insurance, you got to pay out $6,000. Our plan would give you either $1,000 or $1,500 to help offset that right away. So we're giving you money directly. I think that would be one of the things that people say, oh, I got the money in my account right away. I think that helps us to be able to say, hey, we're actually addressing some of this.
Do you think it's the outliers on the hopefully they're outliers, but on the because on the other end, yes, the deductibility issue is going to be different, but on the other end, if costs spiral, if you have a real problem in your household, all of a sudden the costs become much more complicated.
Well, and again, one of the things we got to remember is that when we're talking about these, the Biden Obamacare COVID bonuses, Obamacare was never really meant for these high-income earners. But if you're one of the low-income earners, you're really not going to be impacted, right? Because you're still going to be on Obamacare. It's really the folks at more the higher end of the scale. And that's where these people were drawn out of the private marketplace when we started pushing these things out during the pandemic. And, of course, the pandemic's been over for 4 or 5 years now. So I think we have to get back to market. And I think that's where we're coming from as Republicans. Look, we know Obamacare was a failure, right? President Obama said premiums would drop $2,500 and you could keep your doctor. Didn't turn out to be true. Premiums are up 3.5 times or something like that since 2013. Insurance companies are making lots of money. Their stock prices are up over 1,000% over the last 10 years or so. So the system is not working. Let's not keep doing the same thing. Let's fix it. Let's try different ideas. Let's give the money to the people and try and change it. I think that's a message where we as Republicans can win when we're talking about getting at affordability.
Affordability is a huge issue when it comes to Americans. It's not just health care. It's all sorts of things. Other insurance premiums like car insurance, housing insurance, food, fuel, you name it. According to various polls, it is top on Americans' minds. So where does this fit in terms of, sending the message to Americans that you are tackling this affordability issue? Because it seems like they don't believe the administration's message. There's still questions of, they're saying, we don't feel it. We don't feel good right now. No matter what party says what, they still don't feel it, and they still feel like they can't make ends meet.
Melissa, you're right. When I talk to folks back in Nebraska, they don't feel good about going to the grocery store. This is not something that started this year. This started under Biden. 40-year high inflation, prices went up. People didn't feel good about going to the grocery store, and prices have been sticky. They're not coming back down right away. So we have seen things where, like, gasoline hit $4.73 on average during Biden. When I just filled up back in Nebraska last week with a 10% ethanol blend, I was paying $2.40. So we're seeing that there's opportunities there where prices are coming down. But we do need to continue to address this. So I think that, for example, we've got the Road to Housing Act, which will address housing affordability. In the Working Families Tax Cut Act, you're going to see not only things on health care like the Rural Health Care Fund to be able to make rural health care more affordable, but next year people are going to do their tax returns. They're probably going to get, CBS, I think, reported $1,000 more refunds. They're going to see less money coming out of their withholding. I think all that will help get to the affordability issue because they're going to keep more of their own money to be able to go to the grocery store.
Where do you think the economy is right now? Among your own constituents?
I would say right now, again, people, when I talk to folks, don't feel good about going to the grocery store. So we've got to work on some of these issues we just talked about with regard to not only getting gasoline prices down, but housing prices. I mean, I think the average...
How much do you think of it is about getting prices down themselves versus getting wages up? Because it's very, like, getting housing
down is impossible. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say, getting housing prices down is a long-term game that I think ultimately involves a lot of supply, but that's a decade-long project in almost any community, frankly.
Certainly, I think housing is a little bit longer runway. I think it's probably less than a decade because we are seeing investments. But I think one of the things that will help drive growth and help people get that wage that you're talking about is all the things we put in the Working Families Tax Cut that will encourage businesses to invest. So we've got the things such as immediate expensing for research and development, plant and equipment, interest, bonus deduction, 199A for small businesses. All that permanent. Actually, getting the death tax thing permanent, too. That encourages businesses to go out and invest and create those jobs that will help drive that higher wage.
What about tariffs? You think it's impacting inflation?
I actually don't think tariffs are really impacting inflation that much on some, across the board. I do think the president was smart to take tariffs off things that we don't produce, like coffee and bananas. So I think it's a one-time hit. But I think the big thing about the tariffs is we've got to get stability. We got to get these trade deals done and locked up so businesses feel like they've got the stability to make those investments I was just talking about to create those jobs so people see that better wage.
I got one other for you, maybe a curveball, but you read the papers like everybody else, and we were talking about it in the 6 o'clock hour. We may get a new Fed chairman.
Right.
And one of the interesting things that came out in the past, 48 hours, is this idea that whoever the Fed chair is going to ultimately be meeting regularly with the President of the United States, and he's going to, may have input in terms of, or advisory consulting services, if you will, to the Fed. Does that bother you? Is that, do you think, what actually happens in practice already? We were having a discussion about how the Treasury Secretary invariably has always had a lunch or a weekly breakfast with the head of the Fed, and maybe, therefore, whatever message is just privately getting delivered anyway. But then there's the other view that maybe there's too much influence.
All presidents, to greater or lesser degrees, have tried to influence what the Fed is doing. I don't think it's very different. In fact, if there's going to be just straight-up meetings, I think that's actually a more transparent way to do it so that people know the president is giving his feedback to the Fed chair. I think I was just watching your ticker out there. Kevin Hassett said he's going to be independent of whatever the president wants to do. I've known Kevin a long time. He's a very smart man. He's also very data-driven. And that's what we want out of our Fed chair. We want somebody who's going to be data-driven, looking at the economy and making the right choices to make sure we continue to have growth, but that we don't see inflation, because, again, that gets back to the affordability issue.
Talking about data-driven, Polymarket says that Hassett is the clear. Do you think it's Hassett or do you think it's
50%.
Warsh?
You know what? I have never made a career out of trying to guess what's going to happen here on these sort of things, where the president's going to go. So, but I will work with whoever is going to be the Fed chair.